Hi, everyone. I want to welcome you to Not Medical Advice. This is medical stories that showcase the effective medical options you haven't heard of or never seriously considered. And now for the disclaimer. Just like the title of the show, this video and podcast is not intended to be used as medical advice, and there is no claim that anything I mention can be used to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease or injury. You are responsible for what happens if you use information in this show to treat any medical condition, and I am not responsible for anything you choose to do. So, this is episode 001, episode 1, a story time. Alzheimer's. So this is the part where I get to go into a story of a medical condition that I got to work on as a paying client, basically. So a client, 87-year-old woman living in the deep South. I'm not directly dealing with her. It was pretty advanced Alzheimer's. She's being taken care of by her son living over there with her. And I got to understand quickly the situation, which is this was not a deep pocket situation. This doesn't mean like I'm going to go into advanced diagnostics of chelation therapy or lion's mane therapy or all kinds of other things that I could go into in depth. That's not what this was about. This was about triage. What can I do to increase quality of life and gain the know, like, and trust about me, medically speaking, from this particular client, the one who's paying for it actually, and the one who's implementing the advice. So as I'm getting the story, Alzheimer's progressively worse and worse over these years, on at least one, I would say, high blood pressure med, losartan, I think, and a couple other not so good meds. Was starting to look up the various side effects of them, which are obviously not very good. But the way I started approach like that with people who are not very skilled with holistic medicine treatments, which is almost instantly like I get to know that if the person is delivering, this case they're caretaking their parent, and they're fine and signing off on several different pharmaceuticals, there's not like a deep knowledge of looking up the impact of these medicines because they're just clinging to hope that those medicines will help them. Obviously, time has shown that, just like Maury Povich, this is a lie. It did not actually help. This is degenerating. So that's the situation. I wasn't going into that realm too much to say, first things first, I need to do triage. I need to stop this thing going. So I'm taking in the story. I'm finding out that, okay, this has been progressing for years and years. She's 87, and I'm getting the history of like she does well with taking long walks, but there's a need for going and taking long walks, and there's things that could get in the way of that, even for an 87-year-old. So what am I going to suggest to help with this? As I took in the data points, the not too overweight, not in bad a physical condition. This is someone who's able to move around, but every night, too many nights in a row, she'd wake her son up and be so distraught, wondering where all of her children were. And this man would have to explain that he was her son. Her other children are adults and they're out there living their lives, of course. And that was such a confusing thing to sort of figure out over and over again each night. So what did I choose to do about this? That's kind of like the point here. What did I choose to do? So here's where I'm going to show my lack of technical expertise and start to do some screen sharing here. Gonna one screen share thing at a time here. What I'm aiming to share with you first, oh boy, is I needed to find medicine to help them. That was the first thing I needed to find. Was like I went straight to the yin. I think that would be the first one that I went to. So I'm just gonna click around here, find out where. That one. Yes, right to the yin. I went to fish oils. So Screen share right here, Spectrum Essential Fish Oil, soft gels. Always get fish oil in soft gels if you don't understand this. So why fish oils? Got to start from the basics because people watching this don't know crap, basically. I totally get it. This is for entertainment purposes, and you don't know crap about medicine. If you did know crap about medicine, you probably aren't even here. Although maybe just for, I don't know, entertainment purposes, I hope. But basically, yin deficiency, as it's called in Oriental medicine, yes, I'm a licensed acupuncturist and I practice Oriental medicine. It means that you're dried up like a prune that's all sucked in, like a raisin. It's all like old people. Look, that's what they look. You know, I'm glad I don't look like this right now, though. Some days I feel a bit pruny. They are deficient in fluids in general. That's why, there's things like inflammation diseases start happening, and various types of plaques start forming. In this case, we're talking about plaques forming in the brain, and there are a lot of other problems that can be addressed with this. So fish oil, it's been really known for a while to just, be extremely useful. It's essential fatty acids. They're called essential fatty acids for a reason. You die without them. A fully fat-free diet would kill you. You don't have to take my word for it. I hope you don't try to actually test this out. You would die on a fat-free diet with zero fats. Your brain's made out of cholesterols. So if this person was actually taking any cholesterol lowering drugs, that'd be the first thing I would suggest that needs to be reduced and eventually removed. The only reason for keeping on that is if there actually are strokes that have recently happened and you needed to lower down that, the blood cholesterols, at least so that less plaques form and hopefully less clots will form and hopefully no strokes will happen. But, in basically, if you don't have all of that, fish oil, it's a great source of essential fatty acids. So what I have here from Spectrum, that's a pretty affordable 250 caps count for, I'm looking at $20.12. That's a pretty great price. So this is a good sell, for the client. And the dosage that I was recommending was definitely in excess of 9 per day. When most people take fish oil, they take 1 per day because that's what it says in the bottle. Or some people even get it prescribed from their MD, their medical doctor, with a DR in front of their name and a MD behind their name. And that's not me, but that's other people. That's a ridiculous, I would say, starvation diet. And especially if you're super deficient and old and pruned up. Fish oil, 10 caps a day, minimum, with food is good. Without food is fine too. It's usually fairly well. This digests fairly well. I know many different fish oil companies that I could point to. I know Now, NOW brand would work really well. There's many companies that would work well. And this is one that's easily available, directly on Amazon. So that was the first thing, just to boost up the things that actually the brain is made out of. To start to deal with that. That was my first step in treating this condition. I believe that the second step that I was working on was this formula, Jiawei Xiaoyao Pian, or Xiaoyao Wan. And I did not use this specific brand. I'm just using this as a way of finding it. I believe I went for the brand called Plum Flower, also found on Amazon, but I just pulled this up because I wanted to, look at it this way. What does it do? What is this, also known as augmented rambling pills or free and easy wanderer plus? There's many names for it. Jiawei Xiaoyao Wan. I'm butchering the Chinese on that, but don't worry about it. It, says right here on how to find this one. This was basically, it's a formula that will really, really relieve tension and anxiety. That's the point. See, again, I was mentioning this is all about triage. I'm trying to address an emergency. This is an old person who has been suffering from a chronic degenerative central nervous system condition with probably autoimmune, sequela or other conditions going on. They're going through this kind of thing. And it's really, really stressful. This is a reduce the stress for someone who I was going to like take cause I can't, do biocompatibility testing yet. I'm so far away from this client. I'm in the big island of Hawaii and they are over in the deep South. So I am just guessing, not what I like to do, but it's what I have to do sometimes. I have to guess using the best skill that I have. And this was the one that I guessed at. I also know that I've been treating some family members of hers, one of her sons, with similar formula and getting great results. So I had an inkling that this would be compatible, biocompatible for her, to reduce the anxiety, the stress, to basically to help with the function of the liver, so that the liver can then detox chemicals that are coming in or that are already in the body, trapped in the body. And then with less chemical damage, now the body can actually start to build structure again, or stop being so stressed, having the tensions go right to the head. Jiaowei Xiaoyaowan and its parent formula Xiaoyaowan, Xiaoyao San, it doesn't matter, Wan, San, Pian, those are just the endings of the term Tang. I believe Pian means pill, and San means powder. Tang means like decocted, cooked formula. And I don't know, Wan, I guess, means tablet, I'm taking a guess. But it doesn't matter. So Jiaowei Xiaoyao Wan, it's super common. You can find this formula in almost every single health food store nowadays. Maybe not Jiaowei Xiaoyao Wan, but Xiaoyao Wan, which is just a couple ingredients away from it. It doesn't really matter. I mean, what matters is, most people use this for various types of menstrual conditions. That's not all it's good for. It is really good for, in this case, the stress of being, having a liver condition. And I just turn around my head to see if there's some chicken action going to happen behind me. I have wild chickens that I've got around my place here. It's a beautiful little formula to help out, to reduce the stress and tension, to bring like what's often in Chinese medicine such a flowery medical language of rising liver qi, to bring that back down. It's a nice, like, healthy bringing it back down kind of thing. And it's a great little formula to do that. And then I'll go to the hopefully last formula, see if I could find that one. Yep. There it is. Planetary Herbals, cordyceps, 450 milligrams each one, 120 tablets. I would choose nowadays, I would probably go with a different brand. But again, this was about money, which is, again, like I was trying to take the cost and make it like low level cost. I could name a higher level quality, a higher quality cordyceps. I would definitely endorse a different cordyceps, and that would be Host Defense Company, Paul Stamets' company out there. He just did a show covering this very topic on Joe Rogan podcast. Host Defense cordyceps, and they use Cordyceps militaris. Cordyceps sinensis is this standard that most people will use and then formulate. The purpose of Cordyceps. Why Cordyceps? Well, Cordyceps is there to just make things work. It's there to help actually make things more functional. It's like with the many constituents in this one fungal extract, there are things to boost the immune system and boost immune response, boost adrenal response. This is, how could you be 87 with Alzheimer's disease and chronically waking up in the middle of the night with terror and have like a properly functioning adrenal system? You can't. It's not happening. So this is there to help with that. And I believe the dosage that I gave in this case was 4 tablets in the morning and then 2 tablets later in the day. And so you want to just, in this case, I want to boost up the adrenal system in the daytime, boost everything up in the daytime so that at nighttime, when it's the time to be winding down and going to sleep, you go to sleep. This is not like caffeine or other types of stimulant products. This is something where when you take cordyceps, and I certainly try to take cordyceps, I love it. I'm out on it, but I'm going to be buying some later today. it's like this, where you notice at a time where you normally are really, really tired or dragging, you're not tired. You don't notice that you're buzzed like you would with a caffeine jolt. And I'm like now 1 month plus off of all caffeine. No, you notice that you're not tired. You're not like feeling that like, oh, I'm really tired. I want to take a nap. You notice like, I still got it. I still got it going on right now. Cordyceps is like that. But so for this Alzheimer's client, the main ideas were just focus on building up her adrenal power, the powers of the adrenal glands, and I would say also all of the systems of the endocrine glands, all endocrine glands from the pituitary and pineal glands up here all the way down to the gonads. That's what, when it affects one endocrine system, it doesn't stay just one there. It's all of it. That would be the main point. And so that was the point, was just to boost things up. And of course, taking cordyceps, like with all mushroom extracts, there's a high likelihood that you're not going to get sick. That's the cool part, right? It's going to actually boost your immune response, not hyper elevate it, but actually balance it. So in places where the immune response is hyper, that's where you have like psoriasis, eczema, allergies, rhinitis, like that's like chronic runny nose for like things like that. That's like can be a hyper stimulated immune system. This will help calm it down, bringing to calm it down like that. And that's kind of the point of it. And so, yeah, that was the session. I gave those ones and I sought feedback, and the feedback was really, really good. I heard that, these medicines plus her taking walks, much, much better. This old lady is fortunately not waking her son up not nearly as much. I'm looking forward to the next time I get to actually connect and see what they wanted to, if they wanted more to actually go further and deeper with medicine, basically. So that's what I call a long distance triage medical treatment. Just like I took in the data, I figured out what are the main things going on. I don't have a capacity to do biofeedback. I would say biocompatibility testing, which I need to explain now. Biocompatibility testing. What's that, Darrell? Obviously at a distance, I did the best I can. So I'll touch on things that some folks would be called that, find great skepticism in. I would say good. Please be skeptical. I would say open-mindedness is wonderful, because just like a parachute, the mind opens. When the mind is open, just like a parachute, it functions. But it doesn't. You don't want your mind to be so open that your brain falls right out. That's not going to help. So don't do that. Biocompatibility testing. It's what I would do. It's what I do with all of my personal clients here in this clinic. I work to understand, how does muscle testing, also known as applied and clinical kinesiology, work. I have a theory on how it works, and I've been practicing it for almost 22 years. It'll be 22 years this February of practicing muscle testing. It's a form of biofeedback to say, using these 200 plus muscles of the body, not just the anterior deltoid. That's what some people like. I do muscle testing. I test one muscle, the anterior deltoid of the right arm. Yeah, there's a lot of muscles to test, and there's a lot of ways to test them. That's one type. There are other types. There are respiratory types of testing that I've learned. I trained under an amazing practitioner named Rick Warman. I covered that in episode 0. Where did I get my chops? Where did I get trained, basically? What I'm saying is that I would normally do biocompatibility testing. I would have like some way to say, is there a way to test before this client ingests the substance that I'm about to give them, that is invasive and very powerful treatment. Unlike acupuncture, which is not very invasive because it's very mild and light, generally speaking. You might weigh the two and you might think, oh, which one's the bigger impact? Acupuncture, herbs, and other nutraceuticals, pharmaceutically refined nutritional products. Which one has the bigger impact? That would be nutraceuticals and herbs and any type of substance that's biochemical is going to have a huge impact, because the impact starts, impact continues, impact continues, impact continues. Once it goes down below the stomach, you can't get it out. It's all gone systemic. You can't stop it. Acupuncture, that's like adjusting the fine tuning, basically that would be a discussion of how does acupuncture work. A subject that's constantly, I would say, still in dispute for how it works. That it works, that's not in dispute. How it works, that's in dispute. So I would say it's kind of like that. I'm gonna go back to stop the screen share for a second. I think what I'm saying is that there's many ways of figuring out how to do stuff. I'm a practitioner who's been trained to do that. There are other professionals who do that too. At this point, we're in the 21st century. There are electromedicine tools that simulate muscle testing and biofeedback, or I would say biocompatibility testing, so that before a patient would ingest something, they can just go ahead and test it to see if it's going to hurt them. That's so important. Is the medicine going to hurt them or not? I mean, it seems very obvious, right? So I guess what I'm getting at is that most people in medicine, they're just guessing. I mentioned that in episode 0. They're just guessing. They said, studies say, I got results with this other person. That's nice. Very nice. Wow, you got results with these other people. How do you know that this person doesn't have an autoimmune profound overreaction to taking this medicine? How do you know that they don't have a strong sulfur allergy, for example, and you're giving them MSM, methyl sulfur methylate? How do you know? And I might have messed up what MSM is, but MSM is a commonly used substance for people that will take over the counter for arthritis and various types of joint pain and joint injuries, also athletics, for constantly injuring their joints. But if you had a mild sulfur allergy, how would you know that? Meaning now you're systemically keep taking MSM and you're building that up. How would you know? Well, either you learn how to do testing, you learn how to do biocompatibility testing, or you go to someone who already knows how. How do you find someone who already knows how? Okay, that's the interesting trick. How do you do that? How do you go to someone who already knows how to test like I know how to test? Well, I'm going to show you. I'm going to find one thing at a time here. ICAK, find a doctor. Oh yeah, here it is. ICAK. Nope. No. Oh. I am learning Zoom, by the way. It's really, really, right now, kind of drastically, I would call it, in my way. The fact that the tab is up there. I'll move that down. Okay. So find a medical practitioner. So I'm going to just jump back one. icak.usa.com/find-a-doctor. These are the people. These are the people that are almost all chiropractors. I would say, no, and on this website, they are all chiropractors. I was a chiropractic assistant. That's how I know biocompatibility testing that doesn't take forever, And by the way, I do not discount other methods of biocompatibility testing. If you're really good at anything, if you're good at like profoundly effective lab tests, and you just happens to correlate to excellent results, good. Then you kick ass. Though I must say that's very expensive and time consuming, and you could never test very much in many sessions. I can test 100 items in a session, 100 foods, 100 medicines, 100 things in a session for biocompatibility. Possibly I could test more things, but the more things I test, the lower the accuracy, and I always keep in mind accuracy. ICAK.USA, these are This is the International College of Applied Kinesiology. This is where you go to find someone who knows how to basically, deliver effective biocompatibility testing. So you could literally go there, and many of them, they are chiropractors. You would just go there and basically either, if they don't own the medicines that are good choices for you, you bring them, or you go to another practitioner that I'll show you soon to find the medicines that possibly this practitioner can test for you. So these are all chiropractors who are a small subset of chiropractors. So this is the hubris, by the way, of you might think you know chiropractors. Let me just show you my shirt for a second. Okay? Please keep calm. Please start thinking. Okay? I'm saying that for a reason right now, okay? Before you have a medical emergency, before you have a family member who has a medical emergency, which is very stressful, it's time to start thinking now before you go into an emergency, because you're not going to think as well in an emergency unless you're trained for that kind of thing. And I'm going to take a guess that you are not. You, the listener and viewer right now, you are not trained for this. So if you can calm down and think, you'd realize, okay, Darrell, how many types of chiropractor are there out there? I mean, hole in one, NET, obviously, those who do craniosacral, I could name Network Chiropractic. There's Gonstead, Logan Basic. I'm naming types of chiropractic. Do you know these ones? And then there's AK and CK. Yeah. So, just treating a throat thing here. Applied kinesiology. That was invented by George Goodhart in the 1960s. I wouldn't call it, it was discovered by George Goodhart. He discovered muscle testing. He discovered that muscles of the body get strong and weak based upon internal and external situations. And that could be used to figure things out. I would say this much, by the way. Clinical kinesiology took it a step further. One of the students of George Goodhart, the chiropractor who discovered all kinesiology, applied kinesiology, he made a science of it, basically. He had a student named Alan Beardall, another chiropractor. And Alan Beardall discovered that you connect certain finger points to other finger points. These are acupuncture points. So I'm going to show you one. Looks like this. I connect these points on a client, and it gives me potentially some degree of accuracy to see whether a client will actually be allergic to whatever medicine I'm about to try to sell them or suggest that they start taking. And boy, does that really reduce the bad reactions like way down. Like now I'm having a lot less bad reactions going on. It's pretty amazing, actually. And I never think that my testing is perfect. I would always want things to be, double checked, triple checked, quadruple checked. I don't have hubris. I don't think that I'm the perfect muscle tester. I don't think I'm the perfect respiratory tester. That's another form of testing that Rick Warman taught me. I like to think that these people out here, you could go to ICAK and you could find someone. I just put one in here. I put in 90210. I want to, the show Beverly Hills. I wanted to see how many AK practitioners are in the whole LA area. And there's a whole bunch of them, right? So what I would do if, for example, I would obviously put in, if I was working for this client to find them a practitioner, I personally, this is what I would be doing for this Alzheimer client in the Deep South. I'd be putting in the zip code for where they live, right up here. I'd put in the zip code right here. I would then, put in how many miles they're willing to drive. Obviously not 800 miles because this is an old lady. So I'd be thinking closer to like 20, at maximum. And I'd want someone closer, but in the Deep South, you have to do what you got to do. you might need to go literally 90 miles. That sucks, but that's just the way it is. And the point would be, this is it. I'd be looking to find the practitioners. I'd be like, blah, 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 and I'm sort of scoping them out, looking at, do they have a website? Because then if I have a website, I can look them up. Many practitioners do not need a website. I don't have a website. We don't need a website. Sometimes we're not getting like web clients that way right now, although soon I will from this, channel, I'm sure. People will know, like, and trust me soon enough to hire me, like, long distance to do this job. But yeah, that's the job. Basically, I would look up, and then I can call them and email them and ask them questions. And the questions I'd be asking are, have you treated any geriatric Alzheimer's clients before? If so, what are the methods that you used? What types of treatments did you use? Do you use nutraceuticals or any medicines that are taken? Are you certified to give intravenous therapies? I would, certainly seek intravenous therapies for some situations like Alzheimer's. That's where I would go. I would be asking these very important questions. Okay. And if they are really fluid at testing supplements, but maybe they might not sell a lot of them personally in their personal practice, that's fine. And they might just be good enough. And I might just like bookmark them, like they're a good person to investigate. And I think at this point, I'm ready to move on to the next type of practitioner. And I think I'm going to go, I'm going to go with over here, naturopaths. Okay. Actually, this one. So healthprofs.com/US/naturopaths. So, health, PROFS.com/US/naturopaths, NATUROPATHS. Find a naturopath. Why? Okay. The reason I would find a naturopathic doctor, okay, first of all, pricey. This is money, expensive. Some, applied and clinical kinesiology chiropractors could be expensive. A naturopathic practitioner is going to be expensive. But here's why it's worth it. Their apothecary, the medicines that they have laid out to use in office right there, are the best. It's what I have laid out as much as I can afford to, but since they have such powerful overhead, and they often, their money is so rolling in that they can afford to have an inventory well in excess of $100,000 worth of supplements, or what you might call supplements. So I would just simply call, effective medicine, of spectrum of effective medicine, $100,000 worth of just medicine, and if you were to go to one of these just for even once or a few times, they would wish to sell you often in excess of $500 worth of medicine, which is fine if they have a, agreement with you to buy it back from you if you don't open it. Okay. Especially if it's in short time. I would get the medicines that they're recommending, because often, unfortunately, a naturopathic doctor is not they are not muscle testing, or if they are, they're not fluidly muscle testing with all of the systems of the body the way a chiropractor would, the way an applied kinesiologist or a clinical kinesiologist would. That's thorough. And, you could be interviewing them, but it doesn't matter. Maybe they are trained by a chiropractor. Maybe they took a bunch of classes in Touch for Health, which is a biofeedback method. Maybe they've got that. So that's where I'd be asking, have you treated geriatric Alzheimer's clients? Same question. Have you gone about the process of, finding medicines for them and treatments? What were the medicines and treatments? Tell me, give me a story of how it worked for some of the clients. How did it work? How long did it take? And there are going to be people who said, I've never treated this condition before. That's not necessarily a deal breaker. It just means that they haven't treated that before. they still would understand the condition. They still would understand what is a central nervous system condition. They would still know how to diagnose. They would still run labs, okay? So these people are really useful for a variety of labs. They possibly might run a provoked urinalysis test, maybe a hair analysis test, to see about heavy metal and chemical being lodged in parts of the body. So I said something quick, provoked urinalysis test. And at some point, I'm going to go into how to get your own labs thing, and I'll go into books that it's time for you to own, maybe, like that one. But this is not that show. Right now, I'll just say, I put in a zip code. I find the practitioners. I choose the ones that are, not too outrageously far away. Then I call them or email them as possible, or both, and try to, get some questions answered from them. If I hit a paywall, a firewall, if I hit a firewall, like I can't get through to the person, it always goes to the receptionist. They want money to talk to me. That could be an obstacle, but it also could be a sign that they're actually proficient, that they value their time and they don't give time away for free. When we get to acupuncturists and picking an acupuncturist, I don't even know of any acupuncturist who has a firewall of a receptionist. They will all talk to a prospective client. I have not found one yet, but naturopathic doctors might have that. But most of the time, both these types of chiropractor and naturopaths would be, many of them are available to talk to. They will give you the time of day. They'll give you at least 15 minutes to talk to. And if they can pass a series of questions, such as if they've treated this condition of Alzheimer's, what they did specifically, what lab tests they ran, what results did they often see, what supplements were they selling to their clients, and at what dosages, can you give me an idea of like an example? I would go to this naturopathic doctor. I would spend the money, to buy like from somewhere between $200 and $600 worth of supplements, a box of supplements from them, and take it over there to the chiropractor who's trained in AK, or if you can, CK, applied or clinical kinesiology, and have them test out which ones and what the dosages are. Unless, of course, the naturopath is proficient in testing. So this would be like step 2. And now we go to step 3. So acupuncture. An acupuncturist is wonderful too, in a different kind of way. First of all, most acupuncturists are trained in the art of pulse and tongue diagnosis, and some are trained in the arts of hara diagnosis, that's pushing on the belly in various places and getting a read from that. And I know this might sound like, what would it be called? Very woo-woo, or like out there, or like that's totally debunked. Like, yeah, this whole show is filled with stuff that's totally debunked. Coincidentally, it happens to yield amazing results. That's why this is about options that you never heard of or you haven't seriously considered. Well, it's time to seriously consider things if you got big problems like Alzheimer's disease, or if you want to help someone with that. So an acupuncturist sets up a situation of healing. If all they do is acupuncture, that's not really the greatest kind. I mean, I would prefer it if the acupuncturist at least used a spectrum of Chinese herbal formulas. All of us were trained in that, but there are many acupuncturists who simply choose to never do that. They just choose to just only, what can I say? They just do acupuncture. They do maybe some infrared therapy, some cupping. That's there's many therapies. Moxibustion, that's applying heat to the body in various points and areas. That's wonderful, honestly. And massage, amazing massage. Especially for someone who's old and hasn't had their body touched in like a long time, unfortunately. My God, that's a wonderful thing to do. And to set up the situation rolling to support these nutrients that are about to go in their body to start building things up. My God, this is an excellent thing. So again, I'd be finding one, I'd be like, here, find an acupuncturist. And I just simply go there and enter in the zip code and the radius that I'm willing to drive to. And there I got like, yeah, so I just put in, what did I put in? Like 05667 and radius. How far from there? Oh, 50 miles, you know? And like, how many do I see there? I'm just pulling up zip codes that I used to inhabit, I'm pulling up zip codes that I just like have an affinity to, just for example, And as you can see, automatically, boom, several different practitioners pop right up, you know. And I can go through that same like litany of questioning them and finding out, have you worked on someone with acupuncture? I mean, I'm sorry, have you worked on someone who, a geriatric client with Alzheimer's disease or dementia? I would say I forgot to add that in the video, or dementia, because sometimes it's just it doesn't have the markers of Alzheimer's, but it honestly they can't remember crap. you know that's a symptom right there. And what did you do for them? Again, if they have never worked on this condition, it doesn't mean they can't help, because acupuncturists, just like the chiropractors who are trained in AK and CK, are trained to treat the pattern. They're not trained to, like, unfortunately, a naturopathic doctor is sort of looking for a pattern amongst lab tests and other metrics. And it's a pattern, and also what was told them, but like literally the pattern of the precision, if they're really good at the pulse diagnosis and they're really good at the tongue diagnosis, hara diagnosis, and they just honestly, they guess well. They're just guessing. Almost no acupuncturists are trained in biocompatibility testing of any kind. They just guess. So that's why taking a medicine from an acupuncturist might or might not help, very well. I have attempted to try to teach acupuncturists, since I have been an acupuncture professor before, how to test, how to do biocompatibility testing. It's tricky. It takes time, especially if you're already a busy acupuncturist. It's really, really tricky. I think it could take in excess of 10 sessions probably to teach someone how to do this, but most of them don't know. They don't know crap. If you found one, you found a gem. You found a serious diamond, someone who can compatibility test. The end of the result is that you question them because you're trying to get the vibe of the person. An acupuncturist is way more of the vibe. Do you like them? Do you like the sound of their voice? Do you want to work with them? Are they sounding confident that they can help you? I think one of the common misconceptions is they think you go to an acupuncturist, you want an oriental, you want someone who has the epicanthic fold, you want them like that, and you're looking for broken English and folded newspapers filled with Chinese herbs in them. I mean, that might help sometimes, and some of those people are great, but not necessarily. I mean, it kind of sucks if you can't communicate very well. So that's kind of it could be a deal breaker for some people. For me, I could always find a way, but I could find a way to make any practitioner work for me as part of my team, medically speaking. So yeah, I think that was the main point. I think I can quit the screen share for the moment. What I'm essentially saying is you can find any practitioner that you want to do this in acupuncture that can just be helpful to be a part of this team to help this poor geriatric Alzheimer's client. I mean, this is a big problem. It's such a stressor on the family, and you can only imagine the terror of waking up and wondering where your children are. I mean, seriously, think about that. You're waking up and you're wondering, where are your children? And your son is reminding you that he's your son and he's an adult, and all the other children are also adults and they're out there. They're out there. So that's basically what I'm saying is there's many ways of approaching the situation, but this is like the next level stuff that I would probably give this client if they were willing to pay for it. They would engage these 3 practitioners. They would try out the treatments. Very importantly, they would take the medicines from the naturopath over to the chiropractor who can test them accurately. They would have the chiropractor look at the lab tests that the naturopath run. They would obviously give the data to the acupuncturist to say, here's what we're doing. So we're all on the same page, The acupuncturist then could say, yeah, I'm working on like liver wind, like reducing and things like that. That's I'm speaking in acupuncture speak right now. Working on kidney yin and kidney yang tonifying, or acupuncture speak. And it's not hard to say, yes, adrenal function, I was just saying. And yeah, I would say like boosting, the detoxifying organs of the body in general. That's a simple way of putting it. And also reducing the stress. There's a lot of acupuncture that's just done in the ear, just needles in the ear. There's systems. I certainly get paid to do that periodically. I work at a local addiction treatment center where I just do ear acupuncture just for them, and pretty good results with that one, just to reduce their stress down. So I think you got the idea. This team, an AK or CK chiropractor, a naturopathic doctor who's running a bunch of lab tests, an acupuncturist. This, like this triangle there. Sorry, this triangle. I figured it out. There could actually work. That could actually start working on fixing things. But wait, there's more. There's so much more that you could do. Okay, so cutting back into the screen sharing thing. What I would also consider doing, and this is really, really important, diet. An old person, you can be in charge of their diet. If like in this case, this is someone who's being fully taken care of by her loving son out in the deep South. Okay, diet. So for this one person, because of a prevalence and leaning towards so much sweets, especially in carbohydrates, I went full keto. And when I mean keto, I mean I found a website. This is from the site called kissmyabsclub.com. That's KISSMYABSCLUB.com. Essentially, kissmyabsclub.com. I found it out there for like, where do I get some free, tasty, delicious, ketogenic recipes? So I went there, and I got on their email list in order to acquire. That was their lead magnet. This was how I acquired their PDF. My suggestion would be, try adding these recipes first. Try reducing all refined carbohydrates. That's Cheerios and pasta and bread. That's like done. Like I'd be like, you're done. You're done. You're done. Other carbohydrates, such as rice, yeah, periodically that can be done. But these recipes in here, I would be a little cautious around the nuts, possibly. I mean, that might not work so well for some people. But there's no beans in it. I'm pretty sure that there's no beans in these recipes. And then all of these foods could be extremely brain friendly. Like these recipes are pretty wild. There's just so many of them. Like, let's click the one. I mean, really, there's just so many. What's this one? Peppers stuffed with omelet. There's like, these are things that you could get grandma to eat, basically. Brussels sprouts and bacon. Obviously, you get to find out what she likes and what she doesn't like. And there's reasons why we all choose to like and not like certain things. This would be another part of it. I would engage her in this way. I'm glad that the client takes her out on walks, and he that's the feedback I got. The more walks that this old lady takes, the better off things are. Sleeps through the night, or at least without waking him up to wonder where her children are. There's so many ways of doing this condition. It's so incredibly important. So that's the gist of it, basically. I'm, kind of, what can I say? There's ways of handling any type of medical condition. I don't know everything about medicine. I mean, I can imagine many people ripping this video, many new ones, and I know what you mean, like new a-holes, because I gave some inaccurate thing here or there. Maybe I did. Maybe. What I'm saying is correlation is not causation. This is all a journey that I'm taking with my clients. I made sure to do things, to suggest things that did not cause a problem. There was no feedback saying this lady got sick on these medicines. She did not. She got better on these medicines. So my long distance diagnostic method, similar to the way people would find water and where to drill a well, is the same method that I've learned how to find medicines for people far away. It's exactly the same method. Okay. So it's also the same method, as far as I can tell, the way that muscle testing or applied and clinical kinesiology works, or the respiratory testing that I allude to periodically. All of these are methods, and I make no claims to know how it works. I just look for ways and things that work. So yeah, if you like this video, please subscribe. This is this is 001, episode 1 of Not Medical Advice. And yeah, just want to say, if you have a medical condition, you can find an effective professional to help you. I'm Darrell Becker, wishing you awesome health. Thank you.